Hey guys, welcome back. Today I have Chi Keng with me.
Hi.
Today I'll ask him a few questions, just an introduction. So tell us more about yourself and what got you started in investing.
Hi everyone, my name is Chi Keng. So I do run a small YouTube channel as well, but like Sin Hai, I'm kind of all into one stock, but sadly it's not Tesla. And I currently cover quite a broad range of topics, but probably most of them actually revolve around just company analysis and looking into companies like Chinese tech and sometimes even US tech as well. So other than that, I think I'm currently still a full-time student. I'm doing a double degree in NTU. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so I want to know what is your investment thesis behind Alibaba?
Right, so probably some of you might know me as like the blind Alibaba bull, right? Because I kind of have been touting on the stock for at least a good one year, 1.5 years now. So I think my main thesis actually I can just sum it up in 3 portions. So firstly, when you invest into many of all these Chinese tech stocks, regardless whether it's Alibaba, Tencent or whatever, most of them they all talk about the macro view, right? Yeah. So we are essentially betting on the Chinese economy. Even though Alibaba has international operations as well, I know many of you sometimes shop on Taobao and Alibaba.com, but majority of their revenue and a lot of their tailwinds still revolve around the Chinese economy. And so a bet on many of these Chinese big tech is essentially a bet on China itself. So I'm not going to go around and start prophesizing that, how China is going to take over the world. But I'm just saying that as long as I think if I'm bullish about China, I should be bullish about many of the companies by extension. So that's on the macro view. The second part, if you look into Alibaba's business specifically, the 2 of them, which is Alibaba and Tencent, is like the dragon heads of China. And when I put money or I back my money up behind a company like Alibaba, I'm betting on a cloud leader, I'm betting on an e-commerce leader, I'm betting on a payments leader. So when I look at the entire business itself, they're winning essentially in most of the major arms that they're in. So I can't really see, maybe of course many reports out there currently. I think there was one recently from Goldman saying that they're slowly losing market share. By 2026, they're going to go down from 50% to 30% market share. I think all these are predictions and there are probably some sort of truth behind it. They have some very intricate models that they try to project outwards. But all these are still predictions. And over the last 20 years, they've proven their worth. So I can't really discount it. And unless something, part of my thesis in terms of parts of their market leader or dominant position is losing ground, then maybe I'll change my thesis. And I think on the last part, really, it's cheap valuations.
Cheap valuations.
I can't really argue against that. I think many of the bears out there also will say that, hey, if the free cash flow they declare, if the earnings per share they declare is correct, like if they're not up from some accounting sham or some nonsense, then I honestly don't know how do I reconcile the position, unless there are of course many headwinds now, like you've got the Chinese economy, you have accounting frauds, you have now the PCAOB and all the Have-Car Act and stuff like that. So I think the valuations of the company currently is punished undeservingly. And only time will tell whether it will revert back to the mean or will this be the new mean. So that's just my three major theses that I can put it.
Okay. I would like to know more about China and CCP. I've been looking at them, but I like to have more information from you.
Okay. As in, what specifically do you want to look into, or what have been making you?
Like what is your general worldview on China and the CCP? Yeah.
Okay, so it might get a little bit political, but I think from my perspective, when I really look at it, rather than just comparing the different states and how they run their politics, right? It's true. I think there's no doubt that it's an autocratic state. There really isn't a way for people to essentially rebel against the government. I think the last time was the Tiananmen thing, but even that, they squashed it like nobody's business. I think from my perspective, it's very simple. As an investor, when I look at a country, if I invest into a specific company that is in a geographic region that's not ours, which is because we stay in Singapore, right? So other than Singapore, even though we might like to profuse and think that, hey, we know a lot about the US, we know a lot about China, I think we are far from it. We can't really look too much and look too deep into it. So many of my assessments now are probably, some people might say it's surface, but I think from China's perspective, they have a plan, they have an end goal that they want to reach. Whether is it to counter Western hegemony, whether you want to dethrone the US, I'm not really into those kind of conspiracy theory. For me, it's quite simple. From a Chinese perspective and from China's perspective, they probably think that, hey, I got bullied and I just want to make a name for myself. I don't want to I don't want to be continuously bullied for the next 100 years. So if I work with that angle in mind, it's quite simple. They just want to make the economy stronger, they want to make their political institutions stronger, they want to attract more investments. And those are just very natural conclusions. If you think of it from the perspective that, hey, I just want to be better from yesterday. I think that's like the simple framework. Rather than saying, oh, you want to dethrone the US or make the USD into toilet paper and stuff like that, I'm not a believer in all those. And when I really focus in terms of the economic growth, what they've done for the poor people, I'm trying to uplift people from poverty, the amount of infrastructure they've built over the last 20 years, I think it's just mind-blowing to the extent where when you look at other developed countries, I really don't know what the heck they're doing. And then you look at China here trying to uplift so many people in such a short period of time. So that's basically just my very simple take on China and CCP thus far.
Western states crumbling. So, okay, next question. I would like to know about your personal wealth goal. Yeah.
Wealth goal in terms of net worth or in terms of a number, or how do I...
Both lah, anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is actually the first time I'm asked this question because most of the time we are always talking about companies, right? Yeah. I think on a personal level, currently I'm still last year in uni. I haven't really go out into the real, quote-unquote, real workforce yet. And I haven't really have a taste of real money, I guess. But I think from that perspective, there is always this conversation, right? Oh, trying to get your first 100,000 by 30 years old, your first million by 40 years old, and whatever and whatnot. For me now, I haven't really delved or I haven't really looked into it, but I really just want this pool of like, I don't know whether you know this term called FU money. So basically, it's just to say FU to your bosses and not be obliged into thinking that, hey, I have a mortgage to pay.
What if your future boss saw this? No lah, joking.
I think that's why I think FU money is just a term, right? But I just want to kind of have that financial safety net, and based on the 4% rule and based on how I calculate my own expenses and how I offset my own living lifestyle, right? I probably need 1.2 million around give and take.
Including property or excluding property?
Excluding property. So 1.2 million invested. Yeah.
Invested. Okay.
Yeah. So from that perspective, I don't know when am I able to hit that 1.2 million. Probably as soon as possible. But if I can do it by 35 or 40 years old, I think
we can have inflation and 1.2 million is worth.
Yeah, correct. So you need to discount the inflation rate and stuff. So in real monetary terms, 1.2 million.
What is even real monetary terms anymore?
I guess that's up for debate. But you.
Okay. I want to ask you about some side questions.
Sure.
So you are in uni now, right? So where do you get your first pot of money to invest?
Right.
Do you have some form of side hustle? Or?
Okay, so for that part, right? I've been extremely thrifty since young. I think I have kept my all my ang pao money and stuff. So it goes back to when you talk about when I started investing, right? So I actually picked up the entire investing mania thing when I was in army. So in army I had really nothing to do. So I was in transport. So I was in the support function.
Okay.
And support function really comes when you have like outfield and you have support. Like you need to go for outfield like 1 or 2 weeks. I can be busy for the few hours time frame, and then after that I'll be sitting on a bench and doing nothing for the rest of the day. I'm not trying to flame the Singapore Armed Forces or anything, but I'm just saying this was my experience. So throughout that I always like stack books, and I brought a lot of things into the camp itself. And then I spent a lot of time trying to deep dive, value investing, growth investing, whatever, all your investing frameworks and stuff. So that was when I started getting a lot of traction and a lot of interest. But I think since young, my dad was an avid investor. He liked to pick companies. But he doesn't venture into the US or Hong Kong or whatever. So he plays purely Singapore stocks. And apparently, I'm not going to review his performance because it's his PDPA, it's its own thing. But he did quite well. I don't know how he did quite well in a dead market, but he said that you just need to know the cycle, you just need to understand the markets, and every market has their own nuances. And once you're a pro or once you're experienced in that particular market, you can time, like he said, the banks and stuff. He liked to play all the bank cycles and REITs and stuff like that.
So do you get some of his advices, or do you learn something from him?
We actually talk on a daily or at least on a weekly basis, updating each other lah. So when I look into the US and Chinese market, then he look at the Singapore market, then we'll trade views and try to update each other's worldview into understanding what's going on. So back to that personal life story, right? Since young, he has been constantly talking to me about time value of money. So I actually know the concept of time value of money since like, I don't know, 3 years old or something. No lah, just joking. But I know that inflation eats into your money, and he says that the only way to get out of this clown show is to invest. That was the greatest takeaway since young.
How about value creation? learn value creation?
Right. So value creation is kind of a lesson that I learned on my own. So you need to consume YouTube videos and stuff. So
Produce YouTube videos.
to produce YouTube videos as well. So rather than be on the consuming end, you kind of want to put out your information, and it always attracts ma. So when you put into the black hole of the internet, then you attract something along the
It's
line.
kind of true though.
Yeah.
I didn't realize YouTube was such a good networking tool.
I think not only YouTube, any sort of content. You can put it on Twitter. You can go onto all the other platforms. I think there are FinTweet. The FinTweet community there is also quite strong. But so I started investing in year two of army. So I bought into same standard because my dad influenced, right. So my first stock I remember was still Keppel Corp, the oil company, Keppel Corporation. I bought it in like $4 something, $5 something. Then I didn't sell, you know. I hold it throughout all the way in the COVID pandemic, you know. It went down, I also didn't sell because I didn't really bother about it. They give fantastic dividends, by the way. I get a few $100s every time. Then that was the first one. I bought DBS also at $20 odd. So that was when you can probably consider this first pot of gold because that itself, I probably get like, that was probably my first 5 digits, the two, both in terms of dividends and capital appreciation. Then after that, when the COVID pandemic came, everything went down, right? I still held through the entire pandemic recovery. Then after that was when I switched over to US market. And yeah, I play a big tech plays because I know that they're very safe. You buy your Apple at like 10 something, cannot go wrong one. So yeah, that was when I pivoted over to US tech. And after US tech, at the end of 2021, that was when I kind of pivoted over to Chinese tech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was kind of how
my journey
thus far.
So this one is my own personal question. I
Right.
want to get more YouTube subs.
Sure.
So what are the few things that you think got you to close to 13K subs?
Right.
Yeah. Is it the posting consistently, thumbnail, clickbait, titles?
Right. I think actually it's kind of an agglomeration of everything. Because having fantastic thumbnail and a bad intro probably wouldn't kind of make. There's a lot of tweaking to the entire system itself. Until today, I probably don't know. I don't know how I kind of got up as well. Maybe it's a better question for Kelvin or those bigger, or like Chicken Genius or Adam Khoo or the greater ones. But I think from my perspective, when I started YouTube, right, I actually deleted quite a lot of videos because I started way earlier. I started in 2019. Before the pandemic even started, I started posting YouTube videos already. But it didn't gain traction. So I got like 10 views or something, or like 8 views. And probably it's my friends that watch my videos. So shout out to you guys. But anyway, I think when I created videos at first, my perspective was, hey, I wanted to create what I wanted to watch or what I wanted to see, like money tips or this particular company. Then I realized that when you start creating content and when you think of it from other people's view, you kind of need to create what other people want to see. So I kind of start thinking, always try to empathize from the viewer's point of view, what your audiences want to know and stuff like that. So that was when I started thinking more. And I think one disadvantage that probably we have is our age. So we look too young. I don't know whether, I'm quite sure you have the baby face. I probably look,
face.
Yes, I probably look too young as well. So when you start talking about things like finance, investing, sure, we have a portfolio of like, I have a portfolio of 50K, you have a portfolio of 300K. It still doesn't, but after the thing, so it still doesn't resonate or click well because sometimes the first impression is, oh, this guy is too young. Why would I want to listen to him?
True.
This kind of investing experience, have you 08 the time, I don't know whether you're born or not. Those kind of very snark comments online. So that was my thought process, and when I wanted to create content, I kind of need to know what was my competitive advantage. So I kind of played into
actually being young also is kind of a competitive advantage because you're young, then you have this much, then people are like, oh, okay.
But but sometimes people don't look into your portfolio first, They click in. It was the first 10 seconds only. Oh, this guy don't know what he's talking about. Then you just click away.
Okay.
That's always the impression that they have.
It affects the YouTube retention rate.
Yeah, correct. So
what advice do you have for me if I want to grow my channel?
Actually, in terms of advice-wise, right, I think one of the things that helped me a lot was really identifying what was your edge in the marketplace itself. So whether is it you're funny, you're editing or whatnot, right? It's good to niche in first because when we are starting out, we don't come from like Instagram superstar. Like we're not an Instagram influencer or what. So when we are trying to eke out the whole thing from like 0 or from like 1K, 2K out, right? That whole curve itself, you need to be special in some way or another. Okay. So just need to find that X factor, and once the X factor clicks, then YouTube will blow you up, Okay. I think that's my perspective,
perspective. So thank you for your perspective.
Yeah, that's.
So what is your pain point of running a channel, and if you identify that pain point, how much will you pay to eliminate that problem?
So I think one of my main pain points right now is probably trying to branch out in terms of trying to capture more audience, because I think the funneling process now, mine is very niche, so it kind of attracts a certain type of audience. And when I try to pivot out, it shows in the analytics that people are not interested. So I think one now really in terms of my part is a lot more on strategy. So in terms of how I position and what kind of content I want to bring out. In terms of paying out, it's kind of a personal problem though. I have to kind of look into how do I branch out first before I can probably look into editing, people writing scripts and stuff like that. So for that
you're
part,
thinking of ideas to branch out to other than specifically talking about your niche.
yeah, correct. That's my key problem now.
Okay.
Because you can kind of tell from the analytics and stuff that whenever I talk about something else, or if I talk about broad-based topics like inflation and stuff, it doesn't get clicks. Because why would people want to watch you talk about it when Meet Kevin gets hundreds of thousands of views, or Kelvin gets like 30,000 views?
Winner takes all.
Yeah, right. So,
Okay. So anything you want to add on?
No.
Okay. So I want to ask you, will you take a traditional career, or would you like have some form of innate need to focus on YouTube? And
Right.
would you take the chance to do full-time YouTube if given a chance? Like let's say you scale until let's say 50k subs.
Okay, truth be told, right, if you were to look at this whole YouTube shenanigans thing, I think one of the main problem for a lot of all these YouTubers is sustainability. So, number one, how sustained is it? Like, will YouTube, this platform, be here? If not, means you have to keep branching out, right? So you see a lot of YouTubers going to TikTok, going to Instagram and stuff. So the sustainability part, and the second part is the exit plan part. So the exit plan in terms of what you're going to do after YouTube. Like, what are the core skill sets? So yeah, sure, media, writing, editing and stuff, but I think those kind of skill sets don't really pay very well in the market today, like in this job market. So if YouTube doesn't take off, then there's a very big opportunity cost and the exit plan in mind. For me personally, if you were to ask me, the economics of my channel now don't make sense. Like the hours I put in and the output that I get in terms of monetary value that I get, I have nothing to hide. I'm quite transparent. I'm quite sure a cleaner in Singapore earns more than me if you add in the CPF. So
He has 13k subs, I have 2k subs.
yeah, so the economics don't make sense, like to do it full time. But then we always talk about like the hockey stick, right? We are all waiting for the moment where you blow up and you get like 50 or 100,000 subs. But it doesn't come easy lah. I've been doing it for like 2 years, around 2 years-ish now, and I haven't got that Kelvin-like growth yet. And I think our niches are different as well, so I can't really be expecting the same. But then, if given a chance, you pose that question right at the end, I would lah. I would try, because when I'm young, what's my downside? And by the way, now I'm not attached also lah. So my burn rate now is extremely low. I can make sure that I can survive with less than a cleaner's pay. That's my commitment to myself.
Actually, it's good while you're still studying, so a lot of people not getting income.
I think comparatively, if you were to compare it like from a student perspective, yeah, I'm earning an income while the rest of them are studying. But when you compare it when we graduate, right, the graduate employment survey is transparent. Everybody knows how much a fresh grad from NTU, NUS, SMU earns. And when I benchmark against that, the economics just don't make sense. But if given a choice, like if I suddenly blow up and I get like 30, 40, 50,000, I think at 50,000 subs, the economics starts to make sense already, compared to a fresh grad. So I would do it lah, if you were to ask me.
So what is the economics for 50k subs?
I'm quite sure right. So if you do 50k subs, and because we count by views, YouTube pays by views. So let's talk about Patreon, or let's not talk about your own software, or because now that's the very infamous way of trying to get money, right? So if you just talk purely from AdSense itself, if you can generate around 500,000 views a month, I'm quite sure you can generate 500,000 views with 50k subs if you have like a loyal fan base lah. And 500,000 views, you can probably get like 6k a month.
6k USD or SGD?
No, SGD.
SGD, okay.
Yeah, SGD. That kind of money, or that kind of economics, it makes sense.
Okay.
Now, my views fluctuate, and you can go on the Social Blade and see, I get like, I don't know, 60,000 views a month, 70,000 views a month. I mean, it's still a lot, and I'll cherish it, but the monetary terms don't make sense, because I get like
I think 1 to 2 more years.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay. So any point you want to elaborate, talk about that we didn't talk about just now?
Right. I think recently I had this conversation with Bunti. I think you met Bunti before. So I had this very interesting conversation with Bunti, because Bunti and I, we are both finance majors lah. So he has a CFA, so he kind of knows what he's talking about. I'm not a CFA, but I'm almost completing my finance degree. So when we were talking about passive versus active investing, and we were saying that, oh, why do you want to spend so much time, so much effort to weekly follow the news, look into company, do company analysis, then spend so much time, and then at the end of the day, your returns are not even guaranteed. So why are we spending so much time? Then why not just follow the very standard passive investing route where they say, hey, just buy the S&P 500, buy and forget, hold for 20, 30 years, then you'll be done. But there was this very interesting conversation I had with him, and we came to the conclusion that there are definitely benefits to active investing, but of course for the normal majority, for at least the 80-90% of you, passive investing is the way to go, to buy into S&P 500. But I just wanted to kind of, I wouldn't say warn, but just provide another perspective that, hey, the S&P 500 is true, the Dow Jones also stand the test of time of 100 years. The last 100 years when the Western Empire is rising, all stocks or most of the companies were innovative and creating more value, so their stocks naturally rise. But nobody provides the guarantee, by the way. The US government never say, hey, the stock market will rise 7-8% a year. Nobody provided that underwriting. So from that perspective, for people, they just buy and forget. For older folks, maybe still makes sense. But for the younger folks like us, when we are in like early 20s, late 20s, when you have at least a good 40-50 years time horizon, I'm not too sure whether the S&P 500 will continue giving you 8-10% returns in the next 50 years. I don't know. So rather than saying I'll confidently stamp a chop and say that it will definitely rise by 10%. So who's going to give the guarantee? If you are, I'm going to give you my money and you give me the guarantee that 10% for 50 years straight. So if anybody want to take me up on that, then write me an email. But of course, we will write a legal contract and I don't know what kind of backing you have to give me 10% a year. So that's just my perspective. And when you talk about actively picking stocks, right, I think a lot of them are transferable skill sets. So when we talk about competitive mode, what's your economics of the business and stuff, that's when you look at it from an investor perspective. But when you start creating stuff like, as a YouTube creator, we think about the same thing. Yeah. So what's my edge and how do I get more money? So yeah, these are all kind of transferable skill sets when I talk about looking into active investing versus passively buying into an index. So yeah, that's just my some thoughts that I had recently when I was discussing investing. Yep.
For me, to add on to his point, I think let's say if you want to be the 1%, you cannot do what the 99% of people are doing.
Right.
And that means you want to be the 1%, and that means you have to be extremely good at active investing. So you have to do a lot of stuff to understand and connect the dots regularly. But I think majority should stick to passive investing.
Right.
Yeah. I myself, I'm not so sure if S&P will guarantee 10% or 7-8% every year.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we can take a look at how UK slowly decline and lose their reserve currency status and what happened after that.
Yeah.
The companies, the corporates. But it's kind of a different world now. So so slowly connect the dots. Still.
Right.
Yeah. So the last question I'll ask you is, what is something that you deeply care about, just to understand you more as a person? Yeah.
Wow, what I deeply care about.
Yep.
That's interesting. So Sinha actually sent me this question beforehand. Like it was a rough pointers when we talk about this collab. And then when I thought about it, right, I realized that I'm a very shallow person. I don't really have a specific thing that I deeply care about. Sure, you talk about climate change, yeah, I care about it, but do I really say that I want to devote? Because to me, the idea of deeply caring means that you're probably going to devote your whole life and trying to find a mission or a direction that you want to devote your life to.
Can be the next 5 to 10.
Next 5 to 10.
Yeah, can be the next 15. Maybe too early lah, because you're still 24.
Yeah, I'm 24.
Yeah. Still early lah.
Still early, yeah. I mean, maybe I also probably because the horizon or the things that I see is not vast enough. Everything I consume is like on a 2D format. So there's a lot of things that I consume secondhand. Like I didn't experience it firsthand before.
Okay.
So I don't have very deep inclinations to say that I want to or I've set my life to do this, and I'm still exploring. But now I think I actually do enjoy looking into the financial markets and look at how manipulated it is. I mean, I use the manipulated word with careful caution, but it feels very manipulated to me. And I think this whole black box or this whole idea of investing in the financial market is a very interesting concept. So I've been spending a disproportionate amount of time that I have into this. And if you to ask my friends, I'm sure they all know, like people who are closer to me know about that. So as of now, I guess that is probably what I deeply care about. But I wouldn't lose sleep over it. And for those of you who understand, yeah, I'm deeply red in my portfolio now, but I don't really care. And to me, I'm just enjoying my time now and this whole journey thus far.
Okay, with that, thank you, Chi Keng, so much for coming to this show. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.
I'll see you on the moon. Bye-bye.